This is a PSA for anyone who might need this in the future. Okay? I saw this tweet a couple days ago. You've probably seen variations on this particular kind of tweet. You probably don't think very highly of it, but again, maybe you got like a relative or a friend or something. In the wake of the 2022 election, I may need readers, but I'm not colorblind. Does this look like a blue state to you? And what we're looking at right here is a county by county breakdown of the great state of Washington, where, as you can see, there are more counties that are red than counties that are blue. In spite of this, people call Washington a blue state. Now, what is the problem here? Well, the problem is, of course, and I'm sure many of you already know this, that a lot of these counties over here, you know, in the southeastern portion of the state especially, have a couple, you know, like 10, 20, 30,000 people in them. It's not a lot. Whereas King County on its own has millions. We get into variations in this, like this discourse all the time, and I want to have this out here on record, okay? So I responded, of course, very diplomatically with, can a geneticist or maybe an evolutionary psychologist explain to me what feature of the Republican skull makes it impossible for them to understand how population maps work? Because this keeps happening. So I'm following through on this, okay? I'm trying to be productive. So we've probably all seen, like, variations of this YIF, as my community has settled on, where you'll have the supposedly red country juxtaposed with a graph that more accurately represents like population breakdowns in different areas. I like this one because the way it's designed makes America look like it's on like a 1980s like CRT you know, like screen. You know what I mean? Like you could imagine something like this in green stencil on like a Weyland-Yutani computer in like the original Alien. Just the way it fades in and out, I find very pleasing. You know, in that, I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark. Yeah, this is the imagined red wave fading into nothingness after Joe Biden snaps it away. So, in order for us to fully, you know, reconcile with this incredibly simple, basic topic, we need to go back to the fall of Rome, at least. Now, even further back, okay? We need to talk about human civilization. So, I'm going to Google world map right here, all right? So, just America map. America map topology. We want a nice, something we can really, you know, get to terms with. Let's see if we can find one where it shows the rivers. Rivers. Yeah, there we go. Give me that. Now, if we take a look at the United States, you might notice that there are rivers. That's cool. We like rivers, all right? For most of human history, civilizations have built up and formed around rivers. You see? There was a brief, beautiful period of time where human civilization was constrained between what? The Euphrates and the Nile, was it? And we broke that beautiful, beautiful, simple life by inventing, the Tigris. Tigris, right? There we go. The Tigris and the Euphrates, okay? We had a beautiful life carved out for ourselves there. We just had to stay between those two goddamn rivers. But then some idiot, Tigris, gotcha. Some idiot invented the bridge, all right? And ever since then, it's been downhill, you know? But the reason why civilizationally we tend to develop alongside rivers is, well, first of all, it's a source of fresh water. And keep in mind, for most of human history, fresh water has not been easy to reliably, safely get a hold of, you know? Like they say, and this is contested, but I think a lot of people say this, it's considered relatively reliably true, that the invention of beer, you know, like sort of an accidental consequence of bread making at the time, it led to beer becoming like the main drink for the peasantry. People were drunk for most of human history, like all the time, because like water can be dangerous. It can have parasites in it. You don't want water, you know? But like beer or mead or some other like very low alcohol percentage drink was fermented and therefore did not have any parasites in it. You could drink it safely and not get sick. You could get drunk though. However, in order to facilitate the brewing processes, you know, you needed to be near water. You want quick and easy transportation for both people and resources. You want to be on a river because it's easier to float heavy stuff down a river than it is to carry it over mountains or hills or deserts or blah-de-blah-de-blah. You want to do trade? Well, then you want to be near a river or at least near the water, you know? Basically, the ability to form like large flourishing civilizations away from water is kind of like a recent thing, you know? Not to say it hadn't happened like at all in the past, but it's definitely like cities like Phoenix, Arizona. Can we get Phoenix? Ah, yes. This blighted wasteland of a city. You ever been to Phoenix? Fun fact, every drone shot you see of the city of Phoenix actually cost an enormous amount of money because drones can only survive that heat for a couple minutes. The lens melted shortly after this was taken. Phoenix, maybe 400 or 500 times hotter than the surface of the sun. You know, this is not a great place to, joking or for real? I'm half joking, okay? It's very hot there. It's not, fine, okay, sure. Summer highs, Phoenix, Arizona. We're getting in the weeds here. Daily high temperatures are around 103, rarely falling below 91. Great, have fun. Thank God for air conditioning and all the energy it takes to maintain. It's not good. It's not good. It gets hotter, you know, we're talking averages. Okay, we're focusing again. The point that I'm laboriously getting to here is that we do not have an even distribution of populations across the breadth of our great country. No one does. Where are most Russians? Well, they're over in the west. Where are most Spaniards? Well, they're by the coast. Same with the Portuguese. Take a look at the population of China, okay? Trust me, far more people up against the coast than you're going to see further into the heartland of the country, you know? And this means that there is a highly asymmetrical distribution of populations between various counties. Hence this, you know? And for some reason, Republicans are very insistent that the physical land space that a group occupies should increase the, like, worth of their vote. I keep getting like glimpses of this argument where it's like, you may have 5,000 people in one neighborhood, but we have 1,000 spread across an entire county. So actually, we're the ones who should have the Democratic majority. Okay, sure, dude. I don't get it. I don't get it. More than that, though, there's also this really weird, like, argument they'll make where they'll be like, well, I don't think that 60% of the population in the cities should get to rule over the other 40% like a dictator. And the implication, because we're talking about, like, the electoral college system here, seems to be they think it would be better if the 40% outside of the cities rules over the rest like a dictator. Like, they seem to keep, like, referring to the tyranny of the majority by defending the tyranny of the minority. Do you understand how silly this is? Like, they'll unironically do that. They'll be like, how can you allow a slim majority of the population to control the whole country? Wouldn't it be better if a slim minority controlled the whole... What? Okay. Yeah, no, it's completely senseless. It's brain dead. I know all you know this. I know you got... I know if you're watching me right now, I know you know this. But it's important to me... It's important to understand just how stupid it is. It's really, really, really dumb. At the end of the day, here's the problem for Republicans, okay? Republicans have got a big problem, all right? And it's that you can accurately track some kinds of human behavior and some opinions that humans tend to have based on their proximity to cities. Cities tend to be way more blue than rural areas. Why is that? You know, why? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, the more educated you are, the more likely you are to be blue. The more likely you are to be a Democrat, to be left-leaning, to be a liberal or a socialist. Anything left of center. You are more likely to be that the more educated you are. And cities are repositories of higher degrees of wealth and education. The wealthier you are, the more likely you are to be conservative. But just because cities are repositories of wealth does not mean that the average person in that city is wealthy. Quite the opposite, in fact. For a long time, suburbs were disproportionately conservative because they tend to contain lots of relatively wealthy people who tend to be pretty white because of white flight and the fact that black veterans didn't benefit from the GI Bill after World War II. But even that trend is starting to reverse. Even suburbs are leaning blue these days, leaving the only strong Republican, fortresses in rural areas. And that is not good for Republicans because, A, year by year, more and more Americans live in cities. This is an ongoing and constant process. And while cities, suck in their own ways, you cannot deny most people would rather live in a city than in a rural area. And I can prove it to you because there are people paying $1,200 a month to be one of 3 roommates in a single apartment in Seattle when they could go out there and rent an apartment in some rural area for $600 on their own. I'll tell you why they're paying that money. It's because they like living in cities. And if you don't personally, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to, but a lot of people do. And that is a tendency that works against Republicans. So what are they supposed to do about it, right? So if the demographic tendencies of increasingly urban populations seem to be pulling people towards left-leaning political values, which they are, not to even mention the fact that cities tend to be a lot more diverse, and as a product of that, you tend to encounter people of different races, cultures, creeds, ethnicities, nationalities, religions, and that tends to make you more tolerant of them because, contrary to what racists will tell you, being around, say, black people actually makes you vastly less likely to be racist. Vastly less likely. Same with basically any other group. Just being in a city, again, and Republicans, they don't like it when people become less racist. Otherwise, how are they supposed to appeal to you? How are they going to get your vote? Okay, so what are they supposed to do? Well, given all of that, Republicans have basically 2 options, and they're doing both right now. They can elevate the value of the rural vote, and they can depreciate the value of the city vote. This is already happening to a large extent because of the Electoral College, which, for no reason to no benefit, with none of its intended purposes being served, proportions the worth of people's votes in the Electoral College to the point where one random dipshit from Wyoming has 4 times the electoral vote power. The electoral vote power of a guy from California. This doesn't benefit anyone besides political parties that rely on rural voters. That's it. It's not more democratic. It's actually explicitly anti-democratic. It is literally affirmative action for rural people in the specific context of benefiting the president or benefiting the presidential candidate that favors rural voters. The Senate as well. The Senate, wildly disproportional. California, with its 40 million people or so, 2 senators. Wyoming, with its 300,000 people, 2 senators. Great. And it's not like the House of Representatives is portioned perfectly proportionally. So, as time goes on, the Republicans are going to have to make a more and more and more concerted effort to further imbalance the value of these votes. And part of this process, requires them getting their constituency, Republicans, the voters, and their advocates, their grifters, to push this propaganda at you, Basically, they want, they want your average Republican to be like, well, we're not a democracy, we're actually a republic, yeah, we don't want to live under tyranny of the majority. We want to live under implied tyranny of the minority, There are lots of fun maps you can look at to counteract shit like that. I like this one, this blue dot you got over here is New York City. That one right there. And then over here you have the same population and land area, It's wacky stuff like that. If you took the population of California and then tried to, compare it to the combined populations of all the lowest pop states going up from Wyoming or whatever, you would have the 2 senators from California worth the same as 30 senators from maybe even more than 30. Whatever. Look, the point is that's what they're going to do. That's what they're already doing. And you gotta fight. Okay. How are you going to fight this? How are you going to do it? Okay. Leaving aside brilliant suggestions like converting to Catholicism, moving out to unpopulated counties, and churning out babies until you overwhelm the low population area with radical leftist progeny, leaving that aside. Another great thing that you can do, is pay a little bit of attention to local districting. See, gerrymandering's a big problem in part because of this. You know, the ways in which these congressional seats and local state elections are divvied up based on population can lead to some fuckery depending on how things are skewed. So focus on local politics can, I think, go a long way. Republicans tend to care more about local politics because every Republican is an 87-year-old, like, homeowners association guy who will wake up at 6 a.m. to personally walk over to the local, like, polling office and cast their vote for a guy they're personally friends with who basically just wants to get the black people out of the neighborhood, you know? It's a whole thing. God damn, look at this. According to this, in 2020, LA County was the single largest. Damn, LA County is very big. That is true. It's got like 13 million people in it. A lot of people. Still a lot of red, though. Yeah, but less. And just keep in mind, you know, God, look at how few people populate the Midwest. It's crazy how few people populate the Midwest. It is so empty. We have so much room for so many more people. Oh, yeah, U.S. regions with the same population as California. Here we have the greater Midwest. What would you call this? This isn't the Midwest, lads. Oh, that's not the Midwest? Oh, that's not the Midwest. I'm stupid. You know what? Nah, f you guys. The Midwest is everything in between New York and Los Angeles. I don't care about you f***ing flyover states. Midwest. Here we have the brown Midwest, the blue Midwest, the yellow Midwest, the orange Midwest. Yeah, okay, the purple and green Midwests. And then over here you have, I don't know, Canada. There we go. How is Chicago flyover? Easy. I've flown over it before. Loser. Loser. This guy's, you're up in fucking Chicago looking, yeah, whoa. There's a plane flying right over and you know it's me giving you double fingers right in there. What do you mean, Vaush? This area totally has the same demographics and requires the same representation? Ah, yes, of course. The 2nd Congressional District right here. Love that. Truly phenomenal stuff. What about states east of New York City? What, do you mean America too? Do you mean Europe? I've also flown over them. No, I haven't. Midwest is when you're mid and west of New York. True! Midwest is when you're mid and west of New York, but not up against the Pacific coast. And since basically everything is west of New York, and all of you are mid, at best, that pretty much hits all of you. I grew up in LA. I'm in Seattle now, still on the Pacific coast, so I'm fine. You guys, however, I don't know. It's funny, is actually Seattle's not up against the west coast of Washington. All right, stop. This sounds biased. Nah.